Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Wednesday's Wisdom. Today, I'm going to talk about a trait, probably the most now found impactful trait around. And I'm not talking about IQ, I'm not talking about height, I'm not talking about speed. Some of those can have impact, but the one that has the most correlation is willpower. Ever since 40 years ago, there's a psychologist named Mitchell who did a now famous test called the marshmallow test. In the marshmallow test, he took some preschoolers and he gave them a nice marshmallow treat and left them alone with a simple instruction. If you leave it alone till we come back and you don't eat it, I'll give you 2, or you can eat the 1 now. And they left, and as you would imagine, several of the kids ate the marshmallow. And some of the kids waited and got the additional treat. And they were able to show that example of willpower, which is essentially putting off immediate rewards for greater rewards later on. Now, what was most interesting about that study is they didn't stop there. They followed those kids until they got to high school. And they found the kids that actually were able to wait, that showed that willpower back in the marshmallow test as preschoolers, had significantly higher SAT scores, higher grades overall, had better connections within the community, and were rated higher by their teachers and their parents of being as overall better kids. That same study was actually replicated again by Angela Duckworth and for some 8th graders with $1 or $2, and found the ones that were able to wait for the $2 at the end of the week versus $1 now did better that year in school. Now, I know you're thinking, well, okay, sounds really important. What if I don't have a lot of willpower, or how do I harness this great trait or nurture this great trait? Well, the good news is what they've also learned about willpower. It's a diminishing trait, which a study by Baumhauer from my grade school, alma mater, Florida State, showed that the more you test willpower, the more you have to use resistance, the more it diminishes over time. The people that had to say no early on to these nice smelling cookies in his test did worse later on at saying no to other things, right? So it's important to know, if you know that fact, that willpower is diminishing, is to put the things you need to do first. Scientists will call it the Premack principle. We've heard the thing called eat the frog, but it's a psychological fact that if willpower is diminishing, why put the thing that you really need to do that's going to make the most impact, that takes a little bit of willpower and effort last? You're less likely to do it. It's the reason bad things happen late at night. I mean, no one wolfs down an entire slice of cake for breakfast. Well, maybe no one. It's usually late at night in the fridge, or have that extra drink, or maybe 2. So the second thing you can do is realize that willpower can be trained. You can build it. So like a muscle that fatigues if it gets used too much, it also can be built over time. And consistent small goals to willpower make it easier in the future. In fact, if you do it enough, it becomes habit. You're not making a choice. And psychology has also shown that it doesn't diminish future willpower once it becomes a habit and just part of your routine. One of the great books that's basically a textbook of how to achieve that is that great book, Atomic Habits. So if you haven't read that, it's a great one to how to build those little steps to increase willpower, but also increase the habits to allow you to focus that limited amount of willpower you have on the next things to make you better. So I hope this has helped you give a little nugget on how to gain more willpower and overall more success in achieving what you want. Have a great Wednesday.